And it's BBOR, Black Box Online Radio, coming to you from West Virginia at heart and from around the globe. And hello, everybody. Welcome to this special presentation of Black Box Online Radio. I am your host, Black Box Ned. Once again, for some reason, the lights are a little bit different. I think we can do a couple things. I don't know, is that more humanizing for you? Hello, everyone, and welcome to the special holiday episode of BBOR. You guys know the drill. You can hit the like button if you want, subscribe if you haven't, and drop something down below if you have something to say. And we're going to start with some all black coffee today. Cat Daddy Steve says, morning. Good morning to you too, Cat Daddy Steve. How's it going? Firstly, happy holidays and Merry Christmas to those who celebrate. Happy holidays to those who do not. And I just want to check in and see how is everybody doing, because I've been talking to a lot of people, and they've been saying that the holiday times are those that get them down a little bit. And I never understood what people are talking about. They're saying it's the end of the year, it's the winter season, but I never knew what people meant when they were saying that the holiday times would get them down until this year. I don't know if it's just about getting older and older or something, but it's almost like that Charlie Brown thing when he says, holidays always depress me. Scott Bobbitt is here. He says, Merry Christmas. Christmas with two S's, of course. And the honest answer is yes. These holiday times can be very rough. I don't know how you guys were spending your Christmas season, but for me, back in like July and August, there were so many things that I wanted to do. I'm going to celebrate Christmas this way. I'm going to wrap all these presents and I'm going to give this gift to person X and I'm going to give this gift to person Y. But is that how things turned out? No, not really. Extremely short on time this year. But Andrew WVA is here. He says, Merry Christmas, Ned and fellow Black Boxers. Merry Christmas to the entire Black Box Online Radio audience. You get some cheers with some all black coffee. Andrew WVA is, of course, my brother from West Virginia. So, as far as the Christmas season goes, I hope everybody could take it easy a little bit. Mine happened in the blink of an eye. And there is a page out there that I recommend everybody follow on Instagram. To all of those who are on Instagram, it is called the Christmas Countdown. And they do like 365 posts. Sometimes other ones, they'll even throw in like a Halloween post to change it up and so on, or maybe a Thanksgiving one. But they do these countdowns to Christmas. So you can see how many days are left. And it goes so fast. It's like yesterday, there were 10 days before Christmas. Now they're like 2. The day before that, there were 25 days before Christmas. And then it just, in the blink of an eye, it's almost like weeks are going by. Classic Chevy Cat is here who says, my immediate family are all going through the holidays, are all gone, so the holidays are rather sad. Yes, my immediate family are gone, so the holidays are rather sad. I just glide through and ignore all the glitter. I think that happens to a lot of people, or not to mention trying to do holiday stuff on top of bills, trying to think about buying Christmas presents and paying the rent. All of these things, those are what a lot of people that I've been talking to are dealing with. What Classic Chevy Cat is talking about more is just about not having some of the family members around. Oh, yes, and I miss the family members that I've had that are no longer with us, and they love Christmas, and that's the way that Christmas was growing up for me. Like, we had a better celebration on Christmas Eve than Christmas Day because we would do this big Christmas Eve dinner at my grandmother's house, and it would be done like in the pitch black, of night or something around 8 o'clock, and then all the Christmas decorations are out everywhere in the town. This is all back in some small West Virginia town and so on. But then on Christmas Day, of course, it's during the daytime. However, we are having a white Christmas this year, and I was one of those people who blamed everything on somebody else. I was having a conversation with somebody, and she was saying, I was praying for a white Christmas. Then we got hit by snow. And I blamed her. I was like, this is your fault because the white Christmas is good in theory, not always the best in concept. We're talking about over and over and over again with the snow shoveling again. And also, not to mention roads. But it is absolutely beautiful. Andrew WVA says, Ned, have you finished your Christmas shopping? Oh, yes. Oh, yes, I finished my Christmas shopping, but it was not easy. It's like, this is what I think people are talking about, though, which is like balancing work and the channel and daily life with shopping. It's like there's just this activity that does take an enormous amount of time and money. It had to be scheduled this year. It's like, this is my only day to do the shopping. This is my only day to do the wrappings. And as of now, I only have one gift so far for me. This is a gift that was given to me, and I could not wait until Christmas Day because it's a bag, so you can just reach in, and they're actually a Burger King gift card and some Heath chocolate bars. Greatest gift on earth. People hate gift cards so much. This is going to good use. Gift cards are amazing. Oh, what's even better than a Burger King gift card is the Visa gift card. Money. I'm not going to be turning that one down. Yes, but I put a lot of gifts in the mail this year, Andrew, and I also don't have a tree. That's another thing. Queen City Stripes is here. Merry Christmas. And Queen City Stripes, I'm glad you're here. But we are going to also use this episode as a way to recap everything for 2024. And we're entering into 2025. Can you believe it or not? It's almost like Back to the Future plus 10 years. And Queen City Stripes was the person who brought forward Donald L. Blinko as a Zodiac Killer suspect. Every Monday, I do a segment about the Zodiac Killer here on Black Box Online Radio, and I greatly appreciate all of the observations made by Queen City Stripes. Perhaps we can do a future episode where we talk about some follow-ups with your research QCS and the investigation into Donald L. Blinko. Cat Daddy Steve says, I don't have any family. Everything shuts down. It's cold, so I just mentally check out, not complaining and not against Christmas. Just holidays are not for me. I have been there, Cat Daddy Steve, where it's just another day, but everything is closed. So sorry to hear. But I mean, you can always find comfort in the internet world, and there are always things that are going on online. And that really is something about the internet, how it does bring us together, because it brings us together in ways that we would not expect, where you're also just going to find a bunch of people who aren't doing anything on Christmas. So you're going to connect and you're going to start communicating, perhaps, or maybe you're just watching the same YouTube videos that are coming out and interacting with people in the comments section. But overall, it's definitely been a good year for Black Box Online Radio. It's been an extremely different year for Black Box Online Radio. Mr. JSV is here. He says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you too, Mr. JSV. So this is the biggest the channel has ever been. And so much has changed on Black Box Online Radio in the last 12 months. For a while, I was doing a lot of these live streams, and then they stopped, and then they came back again. For a while, I was doing a lot of interviews, and then they stopped, and then they came back again. But the one thing that has been purely consistent for Black Box Online Radio for the last 4 years, has been Zodiac Monday. And I thank each and every one of you for tuning in to Zodiac Monday, giving your comments about the Zodiac Killer, your responses, genuinely trying to discuss the findings. I cannot give enough thanks to all of you, because that's just one of the most consistent things about Black Box Online Radio. This year also saw a return of Ripper Wednesday, and I've always wanted this channel, to be exploring things that I am curious about personally. And I got into the world of Jack the Ripper in 2021, really. And then by 2022, I was doing a lot of regular segments about Jack the Ripper. By the fall of 2022, I launched the Ripper Wednesday segment. And it was going really well for a while. But in the winter of last year, like really about this time, like December 20th and so on, I had to put it on hiatus because very simply, it just wasn't performing very well. And I think for a big reason for that was because I was trying to do the Jack the Ripper report, and I did that prematurely. I don't think I was quite ready to do that. Like, I had a lot of material, and there is so much material out there about Jack the Ripper, but I was firstly, I've only followed the Ripper case closely for 2 years, whereas the Zodiac case has been much longer. So I can definitely talk more freely about the Zodiac. But also, I think the Jack the Ripper report was something that was just a little bit too different for people. They were unfamiliar with the type of format where it's just a bunch of different things that are all Jack the Ripper related going into one episode, and it's not necessarily following a consistent pattern. And there's so many other Jack the Ripper channels out there that are very, very well done with higher production values. But the fact of the matter is, I can't stay silent about this stuff. I am curious about these things. I do want to know more about these unsolved mysteries. And out of all the cases that I talk about on Black Box Online Radio, Jack the Ripper has the biggest amount of material. Like, there are so many books written about Jack the Ripper that I'm never going to get through them. Not to mention documentaries, podcasts, other YouTube videos, other commentators, articles, academic journals that discuss this stuff. Ripperology magazine, how about that one? There's just so much material to explore with the Ripper case. Maybe there will be a return to the Jack the Ripper report, because I think that that format is something that I really excel at. Maybe some of you guys can understand this when you are just all over the map a little bit, or you can jump from one subject to another very frequently. Oh, Cat Daddy Steve says JFK has more material. Perhaps I'm going to have to add a segment about JFK, because also in 2024, this year here, I had to retire the Anything Goes Friday segment. The Anything Goes Friday segment was something where any subject was fair game, not even only true crime related. This is mostly a true crime channel that focuses on unsolved mysteries, but anything was fair game. So I could just throw out an episode on Friday just talking about what I was exploring, because I genuinely do follow this stuff. I genuinely look into unsolved mysteries and true crime cases and countless other types of stories. What about something that's a conspiracy theory, or something paranormal, or just some urban legends and so on? Anything Goes Friday, where any subject is fair game. For example, I once did an episode on the book Soul Survivor, which is talking about reincarnation. And somebody wrote me this email saying that, hey, I listened to all your episodes, but that is the one episode that I could not listen to for more than 3 minutes or something, because you were talking about this book on reincarnation. And I'm just said, it's the Anything Goes Friday segment where any subject is fair game. So I loved doing it, but I ultimately had to realize that it just wasn't connecting with a lot of people. And I didn't want to get up there and simply talk for myself. I'm not talking to myself, I'm talking to you guys, but not just talking for myself. And at the same time, I was extremely curious about the DB Cooper world. So I got pulled into the vortex. I had done episodes in the past about DB Cooper, but it's the same story with Jack the Ripper. It's the same story with the Zodiac Killer. Yeah, I started out doing a couple episodes, then I got pulled in the rabbit holes that will never end. And the DB Cooper world has been very welcoming to me. The vortex has been very welcoming. I talked to a lot of the people whom I've had as guests on the program in the past, and they send me things all the time, and they want to discuss the DB Cooper case. They want to come back on Black Box Online Radio. And, Cooper Friday, I think, is just one show that's getting stronger and stronger. And lately, I've done a couple live streams about DB Cooper just in this exact same format. But as far as I know, we're just going to keep putting out a blend of the live streams and the pre-recorded episodes, like the podcast with the images on the screen. It's going to be a blend on this channel, and it's most likely going to stay that way until March. And Queen City Stripe says, have you thought about going to the yearly DB Cooper conference? Have I thought about it? Yes. I just, sometimes though, I'm in West Virginia. Sometimes I'm in Boston, Massachusetts. Sometimes I'm in the Philippines. And I'm not even situated in one place. So it is a little bit difficult. I think the Cooper Con happened this year while I was in the Philippines, but Cat Daddy Steve says Joe Rogan has low production values. I like it simple, like Ned Ned Rogan. Yes, well, I do appreciate that, Cat Daddy Steve. And you guys can see this channel is not flashy. Yeah, I have a light that can change settings and so, or something like that. And that's about it. That's about all the flash that you're going to get out of me. Because I mean, that's not what I wanted to focus on. When I was starting Black Box Online Radio, there was literally just a black box on the screen. That's why it's called that. And some people are like, well, why are you using the name online radio if it's not a radio station? Well, because I wanted people to know that it was just going to be a running narrative. And it's about the ideas. It's about discussing the substance material as opposed to just a bunch of bells and whistles and flashes. So, yes, I do appreciate what Joe Rogan does. However, I definitely think he gets into a lot of subjects that, firstly, I'm not really familiar with, and I don't really explore a lot, so I just stay away from some of those things. Like when he starts talking to people about like their experiences tripping on drugs and such, like shrooms and ayahuasca, and I don't really have too much of a comment on that. I might watch one documentary about that in my life and then forget everything. It's just that's some different substance material. All of the stuff about like the revolutions of consciousness and multi-layered spiritual thinking, I absolutely love that stuff. I just don't think it's the best for Black Box Online Radio anymore. Andrew WVA says there's also CrimeCon happening in December in Denver, September 2025 in Denver. I'm considering going, but I haven't decided yet. Cat Chevy says, I agree about Joe and his strange topics. Cat Chevy, classic Chevy Cat. The conspiracy theory episodes, amazing. The true crime episodes, amazing. Even the UFO encounters, amazing. I love the stuff. I love the guests. I also did notice all the things about the production value, Cat Daddy Steve. For the longest time, Joe Rogan just had like that purple curtain behind him, and that was it. And I was like, wow, even Alex Jones on InfoWars went all out with one of his sets before he was deplatformed, and then I didn't really watch him too closely after that. But I've always been about the simple approach myself, and then we can focus on the ideas as opposed to just something that's extremely general. Because you guys in the chat right now, every single name that I've seen up here has done a deep dive into the Zodiac Killer and possibly DB Cooper and possibly Jack the Ripper. And you must know that there are YouTube channels out there that give the most basic, boring, watered down set of facts that you can get anywhere online. The first crime committed by the Zodiac Killer was on December 20th of 1968. And 2/3, sometimes 3/4 of their video is just restating something that's been perhaps pulled off of zodiackiller.com word for word, Wikipedia even word for word, and then the last segment, the last 25%, actually is some type of commentary and opinion, but people are giving their initial responses as opposed to spending years and years digesting the material. So sometimes they're extremely superficial or they're extremely weird. Like, say, for example, you watch a Zodiac Killer video, 75% of it is done with an amazing production value. Like, it's a very engaging video, but it's just those basic facts. And then I think the Zodiac Killer was Arthur Lee Allen for these reasons. Or they might say something else to the contrary. I think the Zodiac Killer was a team of 7 people that was all orchestrated by the CIA, and not give some type of supporting reason why they think that. It's just like intuition or a hunch or something that they might actually want to explore more. But there's a difference between initial curiosities and actually trying to determine what happened with this crime scene event. And that's why I cannot watch those things all the time. Yeah, of course, I explore a Zodiac Killer video because I'm curious about what people have to say. But that's why I can't subscribe to those big flashy channels, because they don't put in enough time to substantiate their cases, whether it's the Zodiac Killer, Jack the Ripper, or DB Cooper. Maybe with the Jack the Ripper world, it's even bigger. But Cat Daddy Steve says, any opinion on the controversy between Drew Beeson and Mr. Belgique? Well, if somebody is listening to this program and they are unfamiliar with that situation, Mr. Belgique is Jerome, who runs a channel from Belgium called Mysteries with Mr. Belgique. And in 2024, if we're going to recap the year, Jerome launched the panel discussion show about the Zodiac Killer on his channel, once again, Mysteries with Mr. Belgique. And Jerome was always a big supporter of Drew Beeson. And Drew Beeson is the author of Sighting In on the Zodiac Killer and the host of the Zodcast. And I first learned about Jerome and his YouTube channel because of Drew Beeson. He's like, hey, here's a photo of a guy holding up my book, Sighting In on the Zodiac Killer. Because Jerome had sent him this video saying, or a photo saying I had just purchased your book. Now, they had a falling out, and those two guys are no longer on any type of good terms together. And it was mostly Drew Beeson's choice to end that communication. And those are things for him to answer. And he has posted at least one thing in a comment section. Any opinion on that? I mean, it's Drew's choice if he wants to make any more public comments about it. I didn't even really know about stuff at first because it's not like I'm so in the loop that I get everybody's thought process shared and spilled out, but those are things for Drew to answer, and he can on his own time. Christopher Valdez says, have you ever interviewed Sandy Betts about the Zodiac case? Christopher, not formally. I've corresponded a lot with Sandy Betts. I've asked her some important questions. Sandy Betts is someone who has a Zodiac killer suspect named Honcho. Okay, that's not fair. His real name might be Tony, but she doesn't know him extremely well, but she does have a suspect and she does have a wild story to tell. Did I say that wild story? Well, anyway, she has a big story to tell. I don't know if it's wild yet or not because she could be telling the truth about everything. Now, there are some people, such as Vincent McConnell of the channel New Cokes 2024, that will absolutely dispute that, and even included that in his New Cokes movie. Another thing from 2024. We saw a wide array of videos and live streams coming out on the channel New Cokes 2024, run by Vincent McConnell. Some of them are music related because he's a musician, and other ones are just live streams where he's talking to the camera like me about primarily the Zodiac Killer and the Golden State Killer, but some other shows got thrown in as well. And Christopher Valdez says, Tom Voigt just trashed Beeson's Zodiac book on YouTube. Yes, but I think he's posted that same stuff over the years. And I do a show, Zodiac Monday, right? Which mostly comes out as the Zodiac Killer News Report. I didn't even want to bring up those videos where Tom Voigt of ZodiacKiller.com is making these trashing videos about Drew Beeson's book because we discussed all of this stuff 2 years ago. And it looks like the same material just reshaped in a different context. And he's making the same points. So I'm like, I've already talked about this. And given my feedback years ago, I didn't see any need to do it again. Andrew WVA says, that became a running joke with Sean and me about Zodiac podcasts. So many of them would start with a 40 or 50-minute recap of the case. And Andrew, I will tell you firsthand, mega firsthand, it is unnecessary to do a 40 to 50-minute recap of the Zodiac Killer mystery before you want to share what you think about it. You could do that in 3 minutes if you put your mind to it. I think a lot of those people have reasons why they're doing it. It's for analytic reasons. It's for some type of data collection reasons, because those bigger channels, they do so much with the keyword search and analysis. They do so much with the algorithmic explorations that they're trying to put out content to just become more popular for the sake of becoming more popular. So they have to sacrifice sharing things like talking openly and freely. And I can't do that. How do you do that? How do you run a true crime channel where you're just only focused on getting clicks and views and gaining people's attention? I mean, like, shouldn't it be about the substance material? And Mr. JSV says, Tom was so excited to jump in. He is gross. I don't, how do you mean he jumped in? And I don't know anything about that, but And Christopher Valdez says, didn't she also say Cain was the Zodiac? Now, about Sandy Betts, Christopher Valdez, you might be referring to some statements that Sandy Betts made about Lawrence Kane as a suspect in the murder of Donna Lass. I didn't know she said that he was the Zodiac. I'm not disputing that with you because I don't know and I don't recall such a statement. But she said that she had talked to people from the Sahara Tahoe Hotel and Casino where Donna Lass worked, and that they stated with certainty that Lawrence Kane did know Donna Lass because he worked in the real estate office at the Sahara Tahoe, and Donna Lass was a nurse at the Sahara Tahoe. And he was the one who was bothering her. And there's also this weird story about a Shakey's Pizza at Shakey's Pizza Parlor in that area, where some guy made some type of confession to someone that he knew a woman at the Sahara Tahoe, and he said he worked in the real estate office, was making weird comments about her. So that stuff, she's definitely implicated him in the murder of Donna Lass, but I don't know too much about saying that he was the Zodiac killer. Fire Pixie is here. You get some cheers with some all black coffee. Merry Christmas, Fire Pixie. Welcome to the Christmas episode. We're just kind of recapping all of the things from the last 12 months, the last year, 2024. And Cat Chevy says, thank you for being humble, Ned. You're one of the Zodiac experts, and you are not an ego. Much appreciated. You know, I appreciate that, classic Chevy Cat, but I don't even call myself an expert on any of the cases that I am discussing. I'm just another person going through this material on YouTube. Mr. JSV says, Ned, he immediately went to Jerome and started bandwagoning about Drew, and he said a bunch of things about Drew, etc. He saw an opportunity to escalate the situation. His behavior is always so predictable. I didn't know about that. I mean, that's definitely not my style. And as I said, I have a couple episodes where I've discussed that. You can see Drew Beeson's book in the thumbnail, again, from years ago. And that video that he did release on the Zodiac Killer official YouTube channel has been put out almost verbatim 2 years ago. So I'm not really impressed by anything. So this year, as I said, we saw the return of Ripper Wednesday, the return of Cooper Friday, the launching of Cooper Friday, I should say, going into the vortex. And I think that this has allowed Black Box Online Radio to connect with so many other people. This channel has been able to connect with so many other people. And Cooper Friday will run strong. Ripper Wednesday will run strong. Zodiac Monday will run as strong as I can. But I really do regret that I am unable to put out the shorts 5 days a week for you guys. Because when I got back to the States in November, I wanted to keep up with that. I really tried. And the first 3 or 4 that came out, you perhaps could just hear the fatigue where I was just so out of it. Not only was I dealing with daily life, but also just dealing with jet lag. And I was like, you know what? My original plan to keep up with the shorts has to go on hold. But the bigger format of Black Box Online Radio will come back in March of 2025. March is going to be a very big month for the channel. Not only will we see the return of the shorts, which come out on YouTube, Facebook, under my Facebook name, Ned DeHaan, and on blackboxned88 on Instagram, but also the return of True Crime Talk Radio in the morning. Can we get an all-black cheers? And True Crime Talk Radio in the morning is what I said was the best thing that I've ever done for the channel. Because I had the opportunity to do things like this, to talk to you guys twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we could just go over anything. You guys could talk about whatever you wanted in the chat, about some of the recent news about the Zodiac or DB Cooper. And I'm not finished. Because you heard me say this so many times when True Crime Talk Radio in the morning was launched, the live streams were launched, that I wanted to focus on criminology, criminal psychology, and forensics. And that it would be something that would be a very general statement. And you could then give your own responses about any type of true crime case. And we also see that People don't only want to hear about the Zodiac Killer and DB Cooper. A lot of you guys followed the Delphi murders, for example, and this year there was a conviction in the Delphi case. A lot of you guys are also following the Idaho murders and Brian Koberger and his trial set to start in 2025. So that will be also a very big story to follow. And I mean, see, this is the problem. This is the problem that we all deal with when we're looking at true crime cases. I was about to say I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, I was thinking that. But on an emotional level, I'm not looking forward to it. To be honest, I think things just took a bunch of twists and turns, and I ended up a true crime follower. It's no accident. I've been following true crime since before I can remember, pretty much, since as early as it was possible. And there are a lot of true crime channels and cases and shows that I still connect with that I did when I was a kid. I watched Forensic Files growing up in 48 hours, sometimes even 2020, and also Dateline. They talk about true crime cases. But I'm just exploring more and more books and the ideas of more and more criminologists and profilers and criminal psychologists. And those ideas will be incorporated into the live streams that will be coming back in March, trying to do those again, partnered with the podcast segments. Because my plan for March is that the channel will be relaunched just the way it was for the summer of 2024. Just the way it was. Zodiac Monday, Ripper Wednesday, Cooper Friday, done in the podcast segment. And then I can do the live streams on the other 2 days. And of course, there's actually going to be some bonus content that's going to be going around. And Fire Pixie is saying, so happy to catch you live. My favorite. Hey, Fire Pixie, you got to cheers some all black coffee. Fire Pixie became a member, and I'm going to be doing more with the membership for the channel. But all of that stuff's going to come months down the road. At this time, I'm just thinking about the next Zodiac Monday podcast, which should come out as a Zodiac Killer news report. And this is what I meant when I said that there's a difference between the Jack the Ripper report and the Zodiac Killer news report, because when you've explored the material longer, like I followed the Zodiac Killer mystery for about 9 years, Jack the Ripper only 2, maybe 2.5. So I can connect the dots in different ways to create a Zodiac Killer news report on Mondays. And I have a bunch of things that I've never talked about before on the channel that will be coming out for Zodiac Monday. Christopher Valdez says, what do you think about the Delphi followers who think that Alan is innocent? People like Rick Snay. All right. Christopher Valdez, you brought up something very good. Now, just last time on the channel, I was talking to you about Crime Talk, the show I used to watch every day, starting the mornings with Crime Talk here on YouTube, purely because I did True Crime Talk radio in the morning and Crime Talk was done in a similar format. And I was like, oh, hey, this is a similar channel. Let's see what he has to say. There are a lot of Crime Talk episodes about the Delphi murders. And there was one piece of evidence that I thought might lead to a not guilty verdict for Richard Allen, because he's on the phone in the prison and he confessed to his wife that he committed the murders. I did it. I told them I did it. I just wanted to get it over with. And she said, no, you did not. No, you did not. Don't say that. And that would almost be indicating that he did not do it. And he was just perhaps making certain statements in a way because he wanted the process to stop, and that he would have even presented himself as guilty because of the mental anguish. However, ultimately, I don't think that's what happened. And note that I said the not guilty verdict. That doesn't mean innocent. That means that he could have been found not guilty, because Crime Talk's a law show done by a lawyer. I watch a lot of the Law and Crime Network, also done by lawyers. From time to time, I listen to Vinnie Politan on Court TV, lawyer. And they focus in a completely different way. They're just like, whoa, wait a second. Will the defendant be found not guilty? Whereas in the true crime world, we're more like, did this person actually do it? Ultimately, I think Richard Allen committed the murders, and it was absolutely an interesting piece of evidence that he may have just been trying to get the process over with. But I don't know if there's enough evidence there. Cat Daddy Steve says, Ned, you're young enough to become a cop, detective, crime scene tech, and criminologist. I'm 36 now. And Cat Daddy Steve, I appreciate that. I don't feel young anymore. I'll tell you what. Actually, I heard that sometime in the last 12 months that you really, especially as men, you grow into your body in 37 years. Like you are growing up to the age of 37, where the age of 37 is almost like the time when you stop growing into yourself and then you truly start getting older. And I'm aware of it. My knees and my back tell me every single day. Charlie Don't Surf is here. She says, missed it, almost missed it. Hi. Merry Christmas, Charlie. Merry Christmas, everyone, she says. Okay, Charlie, you've been an amazing supporter of Black Box Online Radio this year, especially for the live streams, True Crime Talk Radio in the morning. And, I thank you so much. Fire Pixie says, I don't think he did it. You think that Richard Allen was innocent? All right, Fire Pixie, please put your ideas in the chat. I would love to know why. Richard Delaney is here. He's saying, Merry Christmas, Ned and everyone. Merry Christmas, everybody. And Fire Pixie says, you got here at the same time I did. I'm happy I didn't miss it. Well, happy holidays going all around. Cat Daddy Steve says, 36 is prime UFC fighter age, brother. Now, that's something that's really important to note. Also in boxing, right? Now, you're saying 35, 36. Somebody told me that once, that a boxer is in his prime at age 35. That's what he said. 36, sure. 35, thereabouts, right? So I would use that at the bar. I don't drink or anything, but like I drink coffee when I'm at the bar. And when there would be like a boxing match on, I would just kind of tell the other person, I think the 35-year-old fighter is going to win, because not everybody thinks like that. If a 35-year-old's against a 21-year-old, they just think the 21-year-old fighter has more energy. But more often than not, that turns out to be true, that the 35-year-old will beat the younger fighter. And, like I've done this before and it plays out. I'm like, ha, 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 I got you there. I don't bet on sports. I've never actually once bet on sports. And I just do it for like the mental exercise. Charlie says, I love your live streams. I'm like Fire Pixie, my favorite streamer. Hey, you guys are amazing. Merry Christmas. CZ Guy's here. Welcome to the States and Merry Christmas. CZ Guy, one of the most regular and consistent supporters of Black Box Online Radio. Come on in. You get to cheers with some all black coffee. Welcome to the show. Now, I told you guys that I did all of my Christmas shopping and wrapped all the presents, did all of that, even though there was barely any time. However, there's at least one Christmas tradition that I have not held up with yet. And tonight, if I can put aside some time, I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to watch the Christmas special that was done with Bing Crosby and Frank Sinatra. And I was actually talking about this on a previous episode of Black Box Online Radio when I interviewed Pat Boland, who is a D.B. Cooper sleuth. Because in the D.B. Cooper case, there are multiple composite drawings of D.B. Cooper. And I completely agreed with Pat Boland on one point. The most famous composite of D.B. Cooper is called the Bing sketch, named for Bing Crosby. It's the one with the very narrow nose and the pointed jawline. The one with the wider face is the Cary Grant sketch. And it's called the Bing sketch because of Bing Crosby. And what I told Pat Boland was, she appeared on Drew Beeson's channel and she said, that sketch looks nothing like Bing Crosby. And I'm like, thank goodness. I was shocked when I learned it was called that, because I watch Bing Crosby's Christmas special every year. I'm going to watch it tonight. It's December. It's December 22nd. And I never once would have thought that D.B. Cooper looked anything like Bing Crosby. But over the last 2 years, though, as far as Frank Sinatra goes, I can comprehend why people get pulled into his music. And Bing Crosby, too, sure. Dean Martin, sure. Why people are more into that. And I started watching the Frank Sinatra Bing Crosby Christmas special, I think in 2019, 2020, definitely there. And I watch it every year. But As far as Sinatra goes, he just became my way to unwind. Like when I would have a long day at work and then do the channel, it'd be like midnight, 1 a.m. I would just sit back and with something bubbly in my cup. You guys know I'm almost always drinking coffee or tea or soda or something. And I would just sit back and I would listen to Frank Sinatra's greatest hits over and over again. I could do it 7 days a week. And thankfully, though, my father in law is also a big Sinatra fan. And that was one of the ways that we could also bond, listening again at 12 midnight or 1 a.m. Channel is here saying Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to all. Rob Beansman is here saying howdy, y'all. Merry Christmas to you, Rob. Cat Daddy Steve says Vince Guaraldi Trio made the amazing, beautiful Charlie Brown Christmas special music. I love that. Charlie Brown's Christmas is a great one. I I love that too because back when I did the old AMA segment, the Ask Me Anything when I could respond to your questions and comments, we go through the material together and we have a discussion. Back when I did that one, I had the experience of just talking a lot about cartoons for some reason. I love cartoons, I love animation, I love comic book artwork. And I said that in my top 3 favorite cartoon characters would definitely have to include Charlie Brown because of personal reasons, resonation, connection, all of that stuff. And, there's also one more thing, though. I did share a Christmas card on Facebook. My personal Facebook name is Ned DeHaan. I also have a Black Box Online Radio Facebook page, which I'm trying to use more and more these days. And I shared the card from the South Georgia Association. Some people saw it, and a lot of people reacted to it. It's a card that has a penguin on it that says Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And that's another annual tradition that I have, even though it's very simple. South Georgia is an island in the South Atlantic, and they send out those Christmas cards every year, so then I share them. But also, because CZ Guy is here, I have to give a big cheers to CZ Guy, River Prawn Pottery, and Batman 66. Amazing supporters of Black Box Online Radio. More than anything, Merry Christmas to you guys and Happy Christmas to you guys, and also a Happy New Year. Cat Daddy Steve says Hawaiian pea berry coffee. I've never tried that, Cat Daddy Steve, but I would love to. Fire Pixie says some things about the Delphi murders. The judge is suspicious, number 1. Yeah, I know what you mean. I agree. Number 2, too much evidence pointing elsewhere. Well, that's what I brought up about those suspicious phone calls. Number 3, the judge wouldn't let the defense put any of that evidence to present an alternative argument. Too fishy. It's fishy. Sometimes there are cases that are hook, line, and sinker. Like, if I can be very honest with you guys, I think that the Brian Koberger story is mostly hook, line, and sinker. I don't like any of these alternative drug conspiracies that they're saying about the Idaho murders and that just they have a fall guy. There's so much physical evidence for Brian Koberger being guilty. However, with Richard Allen, oh, there are suspicious things. I even brought up one of my own concerns. And yes, I was, watching a presentation on it that guided me toward that. But facts are facts, right? It's like when those conspiracy theorists share their observations, and you're like, well, I mean, the way that you're presenting it makes me a little suspicious, but at the same time, when you're giving me facts, I can't deny these facts. Like when there's a recorded phone conversation and this is what the person said, you can't deny that that's what you're hearing unless there's some tampering with the audio or something to that effect. But then you have to introduce an imaginary element that isn't completely there yet. Rob Beansman says, thanks, Ned. Merry Christmas. Huge fan of the show. Literally, not figuratively. It's all good, Rob Beansman. Cheers to you. Merry Christmas. 42 Lehman is here. He-Man and the She-Ra Christmas special. And, Merry Christmas to you too, 42 Lehman. You shared a lot of stuff for episodes of Black Box Online Radio, and you also participated a lot in the live chat. This is an interactive program. Even though I'm not live every day, even though I'm not live on like all of the Zodiac Mondays, Ripper Wednesdays and Cooper Fridays. I really do try to make this interactive. People can send me things at blackboxonlineradio@aol.com if they want something discussed on the show. People can, send me things about upcoming books that they are working on. They do this all the time. I'm going to be talking about it on the next Zodiac Monday, as well as just some people are like, hey, I just watched this Zodiac Killer video. What do you think about it? This is an interactive program with you guys in the audience. Meg is here. Mimosa time. Hey, cheers to you, Meg. Are you going on the next Zodiac Killer panel discussion show? I know you've been there before and, of course, very active in the chat. FWTXBEV. I don't know how to pronounce your names. I'm just going to call you FWT. Good morning. Is Detective Bill Armstrong still alive? I'm not sure. But just wondering. Enjoy BBOR. Everybody knows Armstrong because of the Armstrong and Tosky thing at the bottom of the Zodiac sketch. Meg says, Ned, would you be willing to help me with my mom's case? She was murdered and her husband still hasn't been arrested. Well, absolutely, I can help you with that, Meg. And, you know where to find me. And if you want to correspond and discuss this, I'm, of course, not familiar with your story. So even if you share it in the chat right now, I probably won't be able to give you an appropriate response. For something so personal, yes, you can get me on Facebook, email, Instagram, whatever's convenient for you. I am so sorry that all of those things happened, though. And, I really do wish you the best no matter what. And 42 Lehman has another Merry Christmas. And really, guys, can I just say thank you for all of you for being a part of the Black Box Online Radio audience. I've recognized 90% of the names here in the chat, 95 even. And, it's been very good to bond with you guys over the past, 7 years or whatever it's been. We're going on 8 years for Black Box Online Radio. And I hope you will enjoy the chill format of the program for January and February. And then in March, everything will be back in full swing, hopefully going strong for the summer of 2025. A lot of different ways to explore. Queen City Stripe says, Detective Armstrong passed away a few years ago, according to SFPD officer Frank Falzone. All right. Thank you for that, Queen City Stripes. And as I said, you can send me an update on your Zodiac Killer suspect and your investigations. But at this time, I would just like to say one more. Merry Christmas, Happy Christ Mass, and Happy New Year from Black Box Online Radio. And from me, your host, Black Box Ned. You guys know where to write the show. blackboxonlineradio@aol.com. Ned DeHaan on Facebook. Black Box Online Radio on Facebook. BlackBoxNed88 on Instagram. And yes, in 2025, there will be a return of the Black Box Online Radio's TikTok page. When the kids are talking about TikTok, it's just like, it's how they get everything these days. When they're just like, they'll live and talk to me about true crime. And I'm like, oh, well, what's the story? I don't know, but I saw a TikTok about it. The only TikToker I've truly watched was Jeremy Foy, because he went a little bit viral in 2024, didn't he? Although G Foy seems to have gone away somewhat. But yes, I will be releasing reels on TikTok in 2025. The future is now, people. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. You guys all have a wonderful holiday season. And we are now in the winter season, so everybody stay warm if you're in a cold climate. And if you're in a warm climate, I envy you greatly. All right, I love you all, and I will see you on Monday talking about the Zodiac Killer. Goodbye.